Brought to you by Weller House Bed and Breakfast. At Weller House Bed and Breakfast, our house is your house.
Good evening, and welcome to the February 2nd, 2016 Dayton City Council meeting. Roll call, please.
Member Neary?
Here.
Member Burns?
Here.
Member Tucker?
Here.
Member Baker?
Here.
Member Gifford?
Here.
Member Lynn?
Here.
City Administrator Giffen?
Here.
City Attorney Etch?
Here.
All rise for prayer. And pledge allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start out with anybody in the audience who would like to speak to council. Please stand up and give your name and address for the record.
Very good. Thank you. Homer Perry, live on 3rd Street, 41 years. I'm here representing the Dayton Museum, the Fort Dayton Heritage Museum. We're having an open house Thursday, February the 18th, from 9 to 3:30. I mean 9 to 10:30, I'm sorry. We're looking for possibly new members. We're looking for volunteers. And if you want to volunteer, if you like history, that's the place to be. One thing you can do, in 1950, Mr. Thorpe went around and took a picture of every house in Dayton. It's there. So if you want to see, you'll see my house in 1950. It was surrounded with trees, and the hedges were cut. My neighbor said, "Boy, they cut their hedges back then, Elmer." So anyway, that's open house, and having an open meeting. Anybody is invited. It's from 9 to 10:30 Thursday, February the 18th. And that's number one. Number two, the reality store is coming up. That is March the 4th at the reality store. The cafeteria opens at 8. We'll have a continental breakfast. The program starts at 9, and it'll last to about 12. We'll have the 8th graders and the juniors. I would like for everybody on the council that can to try to make a cameo appearance. Police chief, fire chief, mayor, and anybody on council. If you can make a cameo appearance and just see how serious these kids, these young people, take this program. I can remember the first time they done it. I thought they would be running and jumping on each other's back and just playing horse in the gym. I'm the last station there. I've had them come to me crying because they couldn't get on the plus side. And so I would be funny and say, well, get rid of that Mercedes and get a Pinto. But anyway, try to come if you can. The cafeteria opens at 8. The program starts at 9. And if you just make a cameo appearance and see these kids and how serious they take this is a great program. I want to have a reality store for the seniors, and somebody told me you can't tell a senior what to do. So anyway, if you can make it, I really appreciate it. Sorry I can't stay for the meeting, but thank you for listening to me and trying to make a cameo appearance if you can. Thank you.
Elmer, when's the date for the reality store?
March the 4th. The cafeteria, Ray, opens at 8 o'clock. They'll have a continental breakfast, and the program starts at 9. And we should be out there by 12, I would say. But nobody has to stay that long if you're making a cameo appearance. Just come and see how serious these kids are. Visit all the stations, and I've got all the stations filled now. And and anybody wants to volunteer for a station, if somebody don't make it, because BB&T Bank, she's moving and she might not be able to be there, but Bill will have a station there, and if he can get off. Good to see everybody. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Albert. Anyone else? Penny?
For the record, Penny Hurt, 309 Dayton Avenue. I'm here on behalf of the Kirsten O'Day VFW, Post 2899. We would like to ask permission from council to place flower pots at the town center in the rear where we have our memorial bricks. What we're trying to do is promote the poppies. What we want to do is put planters with poppies in, and just want to ask your permission to do that.
We need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I get two motions. You need a motion? Motion by Danny, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Joey. All in favor?
Aye.
So ordered.
All right, thank you. And if any residents want to plant poppies just to show support of the veterans, we really would appreciate it. And if whoever handles the flower pots around town, if you want to put some in, we just appreciate it. We're really trying to raise awareness.
Just get a hold of you, Penny, if we want to plant poppies. I mean,
Yeah.
How does it?
Yeah.
I don't know where to get a poppy.
Oh, well, I'm actually going to go over to the feed and seed over in Covington and
Yeah.
talk to them about some
Feathers?
feathers and get some, try to get seeds from them, because I want to get something that's good and hardy.
Wizard of Oz, come on.
Wizard of Oz, yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Anyone else like to address council?
Rich Zumwaldy, 603 6th Avenue, Purple Poulet. Just wanted to make a brief announcement that February 18th is our opening date.
What's that?
February 18th.
Anyone else would like to address the council at this time?
I'm coming. Hi, Sandy Slusser. I'm the owner of Jen's Men's Consignment Store. I just moved into 530 up on the avenue. I hope you guys will all stop by. I'm there Tuesday through Saturday. And since I'm a Dayton girl, I just decided to come home.
Welcome home.
Thanks. Yeah, about time, huh? So it's my third year in business, and the guys are still shocked when they walk in the door. And a couple of my gentlemen here shop there on a regular basis. So come down and just say hello or get a cup of coffee and see what I got going on. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Sid.
Are you open now, Sam?
Please.
Are you open now?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else like to address council at this time? The only thing I got on the agenda is the appointment of Lane Hollis to the Ethics Board. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Got two handicap parking requests. The first is 623 7th Avenue, Elaine Richards. The applicant meets all the qualifications per the city ordinance, so I will please ask for a motion to accept.
I make a motion, we accept the application.
I'll second.
I'd like to open this for discussion, sir, if we could.
Sure.
Looking at this block of 7th Avenue, that parking's tight. We've already got, I think, at least three, if not four handicap spots just on that one block. I know we've been following this protocol for years now as far as council approving handicap spots. And I don't think we consider the impact on the entire neighborhood. Not that I want to deny anybody who needs a spot, but I think we may get into situations where someone may apply, the neighbors may not even know about it, and all of a sudden you've got one less parking spot. Whatever we do on these two tonight is separate since it's already in place, but what I would like to do is ask Attorney Edge to look into how other cities handle this. I mean, these renewals come up before, the renewals don't come up before us. If they've already met the requirements, why does it come to council? I think the impact on the neighborhoods definitely have to be considered.
Council wanted to come forward. That's the only reason they came forward. Really, the city manager goes out and he looks at the place, make sure there are no off-street parking, no parking in the rear, and that type of thing before, and he recommends, that's where it comes from. It's from his recommendation. He can tell you, I don't recommend this because of the parking issue.
Are the neighbors notified of these beforehand?
No.
I think we need to consider the neighborhoods and some of our neighborhoods, the parking's tight already and to take one spot.
But you might have a whole block of handicap. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do about that. It's going to happen more often than not if we have a lot of senior citizens. And if Michael does his job, we have to trust what he's done, and That's why, you know, I don't have a problem approving it. I see what you're saying, but I don't think you're going to be able to stop people from getting sick or handicapped.
No, I totally understand that. I'm just saying that the impact on I'm already catching grief about a couple that we've approved. And quite frankly, you know, if I had known it was that congested, it may have taken a second effort. The other thing I'd like to see with these handicap spots, I know it's not a good time of year to do it. I've noticed a couple of people, not only here but in other towns, that we just put the sign up. We don't put any kind of a 20-foot mark, whether it be a blue. Some cities use the curb being blue for 20 feet. Other cities actually paint it on the street with stripes. I know there's a gentleman in town that has a handicap spot, and he parks as far away from that sign as he can, just enough so that nobody else can park there, which again is unfair to the neighbors. So if we could consider that with Public Works down the road, how much that would cost, how much manpower and paint. I think they need to be more clearly marked for just that definitive spot.
Piggyback off what Joe's saying, how much space have we given them? We put a sign up at, say, the top of someone's yard, and then how far does it go? I think some of these cars are only like 12 foot. I don't know how big a car is, David. We're thinking some of these cars they got these big trucks and stuff, and we allowing them, so it's taking up a lot of parking spot. But I don't know if, I don't know what the answer is, because if you put lines down, in the wintertime you can't see them, and all of a sudden the people move out, and then we have to go in there and sandblast the line off. So, I mean, it's something we need to look into. But the other thing is everybody needs to understand this. We put handicap signs up, but the only thing that says is that a handicapped person can park there. It doesn't mean that that's a private parking spot for that citizen. And I'll just use you as an example, Joe. If you have a handicap, and I do too, I can come park in front of your house. Right. So, it's a touchy situation, and we need to be cognizant of that, but yeah, we need to look at it.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Second one is 406 Kenton Street, Gail Johnson. Again, the applicant meets all the requirements per the city ordinance, so I would ask for a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jerry, second by Bill. Any comments on this one? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered.
Second thing, if y'all get an opportunity, for those that didn't come, we had an open house to display some of the pretty pictures that you see in the back. And while I've got the opportunity for those that went there, I'll just kind of briefly explain what those represent and to maybe set some expectations. While they do look pretty, they're more of an overview of the riverfront along the water's edge that we would like to see developed. Obviously, we've already got some funding for the Riverfront Commons Trail, our portion of it, that should get us from the Bellevue-Dayton line to about Berry Street, where there will be a future connection from Berry Street over the flood wall to the river and into town. But as part of that, we wanted to start thinking a little bit more outside the box as far as, what else can we put in there for the public to enjoy versus just a river trail. So what you see are some ideas. It's not exactly what will be seen down there in the next 20 years, but we wanted to at least start to paint a picture of what could possibly be there. We're confident over the next several years that we'll be able to get the funding to complete the trail in Dayton, but those amenities that you see, like a pier or a public park or multiple piers or an amphitheater, those are harder to find funding for, obviously, but we didn't want to sell ourselves short either. So a lot of it has moving pieces with the development and what we can incorporate into the development as things start to take shape down there. But those are just some ideas that we want to start working towards to create some public amenities down on the riverfront. Dayton has always had a close connection with the river. The flood wall has kind of created a barrier, but now with development and with recreational trails, we can start to reintroduce some amenities down on the river for us to enjoy, for our children to enjoy, so on and so forth. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all have after the meeting. We entertained quite a few during the open house, but if y'all are wondering what those were or weren't able to make the meeting, we'll keep those on display back there, and as I said, I'll answer any questions you might have afterwards. I do want to follow up on the topic of the closure of Kent Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue that came up at the January meeting. Some citizens and some council members were asking why that was closed down and possibly what we could do to reopen it. It was closed down in 1997 as part of an agreement between the City of Dayton and Woodcraft Manufacturers, which is on 2nd Avenue. And it was part of the bond agreement, their development plan, and their site plan that actually closed down the street. We actually not only closed it, but we also gave up the entire right-of-way. So we actually do not own from that guardrail to 2nd Street. So there's not much we can do at this time to reopen it. Woodcraft Manufacturing is not interested, obviously, in reopening it. They use it quite a bit for the business. They have, however, agreed to help clean up the area if we want to replace the guardrail with something maybe a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Obviously, they were willing to donate some of their materials for the implementation of it. So I'll just kind of throw that out there, and I can kind of continue to keep you updated going forward. But long story short, we don't own the road, so not much we can do.
If there was a space there for maybe large flower pots, like the kind that you see in front of government buildings to stop cars by moving in front of them. Something like that where you'd still have the egress of people who maybe wanted to walk a dog or just walk.
Yeah, so I threw that out to them. The two things you got to keep in mind is, one, the liability that they would have when people are going onto their property. One of their concerns is if you open it up and kids start to play in the area or skateboarding, they've got trucks that come in daily. If God forbid somebody were to be injured on their property, I don't think that's a liability that they're certainly going to want to open themselves up to. So I don't even think opening it to that extent would be an option. I think it's going to need, from their perspective, to stay closed, meaning a barrier in some way, shape, or form. I think best we could probably negotiate is a better looking barrier, but they didn't seem too open to, having pedestrians able to cross freely there for those liability reasons.
All right.
Mr. Giffen, does it clarify this? The right-of-way on Kenton from that barricade, which is 2.5 Street, to 2nd, is owned by Woodcraft?
That's correct.
Curb to curb?
Curb to curb.
1997, I think we got $650,000 for that.
Well, it was part of the, it shows up in their bond indenture, and then it shows up in the site plans that we have on file. How exactly we were compensated for it, I think it more falls in the line with issuing the bond and getting an industry down there at that particular time. I don't know financially, I didn't see anything financially that was exchanged for the transaction. The ordinance didn't have any, dollar.
So it may have been nothing?
A dollar, I'm sure.
Probably just a park to get them to come into the city.
And there's no pedestrian easement or anything on that?
The only easement that exists is we do have a utility easement. At the time, they didn't think there were any utilities in the way, possibly a sewer line, but they did it just in case there was ever a need for utilities. So we do have a utility easement, that's it. Any other questions on that issue? Okay. Well, I'm going to come back to that. I do want to bring up, I've had a few requests that I would like the safety committee to take a look at. Two separate locations in town. The first, Maple Street. There's been some topics about creating some form of turnabout between 951 and 1001 Maple Street. There is a paper street there that leads down to the ball field. I think it was originally put in place for emergency response to get to the field. Right now it's just gated off, so there would be some room down there to put something in like that. So I would ask that you all take a look at that. The other area of town is on Berry Street between 6th and 7th. Currently, between that area, it's one way. We've had a few people approach me and ask if we could possibly turn that back into two-way. I don't know when the last time it was two-way, but it's impacting some of the businesses down there, and I think it could be beneficial to take a look at that. So if you all could take a look at those two things. The next item I have is the rental rate topic. So in our finance meetings, the last couple ones we had before the first of the year, we brought up the rental rate and possibly raising that from $50 to $100. So I'd like to open the floor for that discussion at this point to see where everybody stands. I know from my perspective and the finance committee's perspective, with expenses growing in every department that we have, and obviously limited revenue is going up, holding the tax rate level, we're starting to look at some ways that we could potentially, get a little bit of extra money in to support the carryover that we have to bring over every year to balance the budget. So I guess I'll just open the floor to get everybody's thoughts and have a discussion.
When was the last time they did it? It's been $50 for how long?
Forever.
So it's typically a 3% increase is what businesses look at for expenses, right? So
What are surrounding communities?
It varies. You'll see some that are $50, some raise it to $75, some are as low as $25, some are at $100. It just it varies.
And
I couldn't give you any specifics. I've looked into it.
Can I speak real quick? I just want to let everybody know that I'm going to be abstaining from this vote, given that I'm a landlord in the city. I do have some comments when I can.
Go ahead, go on up there and make your comments, Joe.
Really, the only thing that I would like to comment on, it was the question was just asked, what is the rates in the surrounding towns? In Fort Thomas, it's $0 to have a rental property. You only have to file with the county for your occupational license. Bellevue is $60 for your license and $40 per unit. Newport is $45 for a license, $35 per unit. Ludlow is $100 per property, and that's whether it's single or multifamily, so it doesn't matter how big the place is. And Covington is $50 for a license. There's no unit rate. That's the only thing I really wanted to comment on in this.
So ours is just a rental rate. As Joe was saying, there's someone that have a license.
That's what we have as well, but it's a flat rate of $50, whereas some communities do it as a flat rate for the license, and then it's a per unit for additional license. It's like having multiple alcohol beverage licenses.
So ours is considered a license?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's 50 per unit?
It's 50 per property.
Per property, no matter how many units are on it?
No matter how many units.
I think it's per unit.
It's 50 per
Oh,
unit.
sorry, my apologies. I missed
It is 50 per unit.
Per unit, yeah.
And then is there a cutoff for, say, like Chateau Ridge? If you got way more than, so every unit is 50, rented or unrented?
Correct.
I personally don't think that we're in a position to change it right now. I mean, I don't see an advantage to it. That's my opinion. So.
One of the things I think we need to think about, and I say it's going to come under the city attorney's report, is that he's resolved 22 cases and collected $1,200 in fines. I think that one of the things we need to do is these people that don't buy the occupation license, and we know there's a lot of people in the city of Dayton, they have rental property and don't buy occupation license. Those people, we need to go after those people, and also the fines. I don't know what the fine, Don, what's the fine for somebody that doesn't buy their occupation license and or
20% penalty and 1% per month until paid.
I think we need to raise that. These people are trying to skirt the law. We got a law here and they're trying to skirt it.
What we're getting ready to do, and Tom was probably going to bring this up, but I don't think we really have that many people that are not paying the rental license. I think we've got a pretty good handle on that. Now there's people on the tax roll, if the tax bill is mailed to the home and they're renting it, I don't know about that. So
Right.
there's no way to catch them. But what we're doing is we give them 3 letters, 1 letter 30 days later, and then the final letter after they don't pay, it goes to Tom. Tom sends a letter, and collection has been very good on the delinquents, but he currently probably has at least 3 people he's getting ready to file criminal charges on.
Good.
Going to be found criminal charges.
They say about 11.
At least that's what the ordinance says. The ordinance says if they don't pay, you file criminal charges.
I'm going to do a devil's advocate on this one. And I know we have some rental property owners here. That's $4 a month, $50 a year.
It's one unit. Excuse me for talking.
Per
It's
unit.
one unit, pal. You guys got so rich. You got a lot of units up there.
Well, let me finish, if I could.
Can't talk.
I'm sorry.
It's $4 a unit per month, okay? And most of these units, let's say $600 a month. Okay, this is a business. And we tax other businesses in town for payroll, for occupational license. So it is an income generating, hopefully income generating, because I know what a gamble it is. And again, I'm playing devil's advocate here to bring up the other side that may not get brought up. There are some rental properties in town, some are very visible, that because of the turnover, it seems like once a month there's a whole sidewalk full of trash out front, okay? Which, I know we don't get charged anything extra from Republic, but still, it really brings down the neighborhood. I think Chief Halfhill would agree that some of the rental properties in town are your biggest problems as far as calls, the same with the fire department. I think as Joey said, as a property owner, you want to make as much money as you can. So does every other business in town, whether it be Woodcraft or Gents or one of the restaurants. It really is a business. It's a profit-making machine. So if we consider taking it, let's say, from 50 to 60 or 50 to 100, break it down to a per monthly and take that into consideration.
But according to Mr. Tucker, it's all over the place anyway, and it doesn't sound like we're out of line right now. If we made major changes or even some changes, I don't know that we would be in line.
Just responding to what the Finance Committee said as far as a possible source of extra revenue.
How many rental units, do we know how many rental units we actually have in town?
I don't know right now, but I can get that for you.
We'll do
Is there any cap on the amount of rental units we're allowed to have? So the whole thing can be 100% rental exclusive?
Yes.
We bring in 30,000. I mean, you could work it backwards. I mean, we bring in $30,000 a year.
Add the percentage to that if you did a $10 increase and
If you
see what you
wanted,
get.
if you wanted to go by what Joe said, that it is a business, you could just tax them the same way you tax your businesses. From $0 to $5,000, 50, from $5,001 to 10 is 75 of the gross receipts. You could tax them that way.
I know some landlords don't make money on their property.
Well, gross receipts, you'd make
Right.
money, because you don't get to deduct nothing on gross receipts.
And I know some people find themselves in a position that they bought their house in 2002 and then they moved or whatever, and they're just trying to make, tread water on those.
I agree.
As far as the number of units, what I've seen on the real estate listings, the demographics they give on the bottom, I think our city has approximately 2,000 residences, 2,000 households, and I think about a 50 to 59% rental rate. So you figure you have about 1,000 units. $10 a month increase is only going to, or $10 a year increase is only going to bring in $10,000 more.
I know this has been a subject that's gone on in city council for many, many years. I've sat out there and they talk about it, and there's a lot of variables you want to look at. Like I think somebody said, I think we need to sit down and think about this again and bring it back up. Let everybody get some thoughts together on it.
Is there any way, Donna or Michael, that we'd be able to find out how many rental units we had? Would it be an easy enough search?
Yes.
And entertain what Donna said there before. I mean, I don't think that's unfair either. You're going to do it as an occupational.
And keep in mind, we may have down on the river with that development that's coming up, those may be apartments. Or condos, whatever you want to call them, I know, Bill. But just in case they are rentals, that would fall into play there.
Okay, we can put this back into committee, we can make a motion, or we can just let it die for lack of a motion. What do you guys want to do?
Well, what did I need to know the overall opinion of the finance committee, because if you guys already made your decision, we have to listen to what.
No, we never made any decision. We were trying to find ways to generate more income into the city without raising the property taxes. And rental was one of the things that popped up, as I think it does every year with every city council setting. That's one way of generating some extra money. Nobody wants to raise taxes. I think.
So it would be $10,000 roughly off the top of your head.
So that's the $10 increase.
$10.
So if you had a 100% increase, you'd have, what, you said you get 30,000, so you get 60,000.
So I think, we ought to just let us take it back again to Finance Committee, let Donna get us some numbers on amount of rental units, and see what else we can come up with, and bring it back to full council.
If this, I'm sorry. If this were to be changed, does it have to be before the fiscal year starts, July 1, or calendar year? How does that work, Donna?
The rentals are due the end of May,
Okay,
so you would hopefully have it done by May 1st before I send them out.
gotcha. Thank you.
Okay? So you're just going to take it back to your committee?
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Before we get into city attorney's report, Dave, you want to bring in the dog? Yeah. You said we show the dog off this month?
Yeah.
So, Sergeant Marksberry.
This is Sergeant Marksberry, and I'll let him introduce his new partner.
Where do you want me at?
And it doesn't matter, right here is fine.
Front and center.
I'm good.
Good girl.
This is Tessa. She is a dual-purpose Belgian Malinois. She's 2 years old. We purchased her from a place out in Kansas, and she's been on the street since, I think, October 9th of 2015. Hi, girl. She's certified in narcotics, patrol work, and tracking, so she does all three. So.
Since she's been on the street so far, she's...
I guess the biggest find that we've gotten, the biggest find that we've gotten so far was almost 3 grams of heroin and 2 ounces of marijuana that was rolled up inside a t-shirt located in the trunk of a vehicle. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning or so. And then piled on top of it was a bunch of infant clothes, things of that nature. So he tried to hide it, but she was able to locate it. So.
How does she respond when she starts to locate something? Barking?
No, she's passive, which means she'll do just like this. When she gets the odor, she'll sit. You'll see her tag wailing, and of course she's focused on it, and she's waiting for her ball reward, which is what she gets when she locates. That's fine.
And also Gil's helped out around the tri-state area too, not only Campbell County. Where else did we go to? Ohio. They've asked for assistance from Sergeant Marksberry with some help over there. So it's not just for Dayton too. I mean, it is for county. She's available to Campbell County citizens, and we've helped out at Campbell County High School with the schools out there. She's done some work here in Dayton and some other schools in the county. So,
yeah, part of our training group does have a Ohio officer who comes over and assists us as well with the schools locally. So, because it takes a lot of energy for these dogs to hit on that many lockers, and let alone when you've got the parking lot set out at the high school, you've got hundreds of cars out there. So.
Sergeant, when you're out on patrol or out on the street with the dog, for the public that wants to come up, a little kid sees the puppy, or my wife with dogs is crazy, how should we approach the dog?
Usually most of them will ask if they can approach. I have them step back away for a little bit, because once you get near her house, she starts to bark a lot and kind of get a little bit excited. So I just ask that you stay away at a reasonable reasonable distance, and then I can get her out. She's friendly with everybody. Even though she's trained for apprehension, she is well acclimated to everybody. She's friendly. You can pet her, things of that nature. Of course, the hard part with petting is, when I've gotten her close, if you talk loud, we've had a couple officers not realize when they begin to talk loud or maybe even roughhouse a little bit with each other, that gets her in gear. And I have to do my part to maintain the peaceful attitude, if you will, around her. So
when she was in the car last night at the game, some people were trying to approach it, and she started barking, and I said, get away from the car, you don't want to do that. And then she just shut up, but when they start getting real close, obviously, she don't know what's going on.
Right, yeah. And you get some people, of course, if you're not in the car with her, there might be some that taunt,
Gotcha.
As well. But for the most part, I think for the first 30 days that I had her here, nobody even realized that she even existed, because they could walk up to the car. She was still laying back there, and I thought, this won't be so bad after all, because everybody else, that's all the dog does is bark in the ear every time. It didn't take long once she acclimated to her surroundings that she too started doing the same thing.
Did you train her, or was she trained when she got here?
She was partially trained. When she got here, she came from Holland. Originally is where she was born. And then they had her in Germany, and then shipped her over from Germany to Kansas. And she was partially trained, but all the narcotic stuff we did when we were at the school.
How old is she?
She just turned 2.
And they're good for what, 5 or 6 years?
I'm hoping with her and her size, that's the other key thing too, seats. Her and her size, I'm hoping somewhere between 6 and 8 years of service. It all depends. The vet says that any medium to large dogs are prone to hip dysplasia, but she is, as you can tell, much smaller. So I'm hoping that gives her a little bit longer working span. So,
Chief, this is a replacement dog, correct?
This is a replacement dog for Officer Black that went to Ludlow. We used the funds to purchase the dog to purchase this dog. So pretty much got a fresh start with the new dog. So
is this a newer model?
Pretty much, yeah.
Holland model.
They have more features?
Yeah, totally. We have more features than the other dog. The other dog was just drug sniffing. This is a multi-purpose, so it'll definitely pay off for the citizens and the police department.
Dumb question, but if she came from another country, she had German commands and Holland commands, I would assume?
We do a little bit of mixed breed between Dutch and German.
Okay.
So.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good girl.
All right. City Attorney's report.
Never on there.
City Attorney's report.
Just to let the council know that during the past couple months, we've sent out a lot of letters for delinquent rentals occupational license. We've resolved 22 cases thus far, collected $1,269. We've just started a new stack of cases. I think in the past couple of weeks, I've sent out about another 30 or so letters for more current delinquent rentals and occupational licenses. Currently, we've sent, I think it's 11 cases to the county attorney's office for review and consideration for prosecution under our criminal misdemeanor provision.
I guess my comment, I'm going to go with Joe. Joe brought up, you said 2,000 residents in the city of Dayton, and we have probably
like a 50%.
Do we have 1,000 rental units in the city of Dayton, Don?
Yeah, I think it's more than that.
Occupational license?
I would have to look at that bill and let you know tomorrow. I don't know just off the top of my head.
I mean, because if we don't, somebody's skirting law. I said that before. If we only have 800, there's 200 people out there skirting this law.
Yeah, we send out about almost 2,300 tax bills.
of rental units?
No tax bill.
Just
Tax bills.
general property and
Okay.
And that includes like industrial businesses, et cetera.
Yeah, that, well, really nobody in the industrial park, but maybe 2 people pay because the other ones are on bonds.
Bonds.
So it's mainly just homeowners. I'll let everybody know. I'll get that tomorrow and email it to everybody.
All right, thank you. Consent agenda, approval of the minutes from the January 5th, 2016 council meeting. Need a motion?
I'll make that motion that we approve those minutes.
Moved by Jerry,
Second.
second by Bill. All
I
in
actually have
favor?
a correction on it, sir.
Okay.
The very last paragraph under new business about the 2nd Avenue and Kenton Street, it says Member Baker and Member Neary passed out. Only Mr. Baker passed out. A screenshot of the intersection.
I didn't pass out at all.
You were wide awake.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. We have no orders or ordinances.
No, sir.
Department heads, Donna?
Everybody has a copy of my report.
Chief Hatfield?
Everybody's got a copy of my report for the month of January. Again, I'll post it on Facebook, just, you know, how the activity's been. Just one thing I do want to promote just a little bit, the Citizens Academy, Campbell County. This is a multi-jurisdictional police academy, so all the police departments in Campbell County are involved in this, all the police chiefs. It did get moved back a little bit. They're looking for a start date of possibly March 1st or 2nd. All this is, it's for one evening a week, 2 hours is your time that you're there, and it's about a 12-week program. It's a very interesting, and if you're interested in law enforcement and what we do and how we do it, and it's not just us, it's prosecutors, judges, jails. You actually go to the range and shoot. You will tour the jail. Everybody that comes through the program really enjoys it. So you can access that through the Campbell County Police Department, the Campbell County website. And you go to Police Department and there'll be an application there, or you can go to our Facebook page and they'll have directions on there also, how to download an application and how to turn it in. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Rick McAllister, Building Department.
Well, in response to Councilmember Burns' request about the signs, the condition of the signs in the city, we've gotten a program that we can enter all the signs in, and in association with Link GIS. They already have a program going where they're identifying all the poles and signs in Kenton and Campbell County. So we took that program, they've already had it going, and we're going to use that to identify the condition of all the signs. There are a million different bits of information that they can add in on there, whether the signs are reflective or not, whether they're legible or not. So we took that program, and as we were utilizing that program, we thought that it would be a good idea to, we added a layer just today actually, and we can use that for our violation tracking program. So while it was, you could look at a sign and say, okay, here's the sign, and it takes the sign and tells you where you are. It's got the geo tracking and tells you exactly where you are. And so then you can do this with the houses that have violations, and so it'll provide us with the ability to, when houses don't have addresses and things of that nature, you can just click on it, say what the nature of the violation is, and when I go back to the office and plug it into the computer, it'll tell me what the house is, and according to DBA records, who the property owner is, and all those things. So it'll speed things up a lot. We're just trying to streamline the violation process and the tracking process. Other than that, things are going pretty well.
Mayor, can I, that's great you're doing the street signs, but I also want someone to look into, there's also signs in the city of Dayton that says slow children, it has everything.
Every imaginable sign.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sir, and actually, I guess this is also directed towards administration. Where are we on vacant board-ups? We've got a couple of vacant properties around town, some burnouts. They're really not boarded up the way they should be. Is any attention being paid to that, or any special effort on that? I know it's expensive because we gotta pay for
It is very
lumber and all.
expensive, but if you give us a list of, or give me a list of which ones you're talking about, I'll be more than happy to look at them, and we'll get it boarded up.
Okay, and pass the board up, what steps can we take to get those owners to either improve them, sell them, or tear them
We
down?
just submitted the vacant and blighted list.
First step is that we submit it to the PBA and they tax them at the highest rate that you're allowed to tax.
0.75.
Yeah, and then typically that notice goes out and comes back, and that's the problem, is that we don't have a permanent address for the property owner.
Right.
The process that we're going to start with, it's not so complicated. It's basically, we issue a citation and we keep issuing that citation until whether the property owner responds or not, until there's a fine equal to or greater than the value of the house.
Right, right.
And it doesn't take very long.
Yeah, I just know that I've heard that some of the buildings in town, there may even be some homeless living in them. I mean, everybody needs a home, but that's not a safe situation there. And I recently attended a different city's council meeting where they had a very difficult issue with American with Disability Acts as far as handicap ramps. And how they can build them on the house, whatever, especially for a rental property, if someone comes in that wants to rent it and needs a handicap ramp. Are our current codes, do you feel that they are adequate to cover that?
Yeah, I mean, the ADA, that's everybody has to abide by it. Now, whether you can be a landlord and meet the ADA regulations, you can only go a certain height per the number of feet that you're traveling. Those regulations are made for a person with not very good arm strength to be able to motivate themselves up that ramp, and that's not always the case. So if a landlord installs a ramp that doesn't necessarily meet ADA regulations, but it meets the requirements and needs of their tenant, that's between them. They're not required to put the ramp in. So,
understood.
So if they choose to put a person in there who the new ramp doesn't meet ADA regulations, but it meets the needs of the tenant, is that what you're asking? Is that, or?
Well, I mean, from what I understand, that a ramp, if I was to install a ramp in my house, okay, whether it be a business, my own residence, or a personal residence, that it is to be treated, I mean, I have to get a permit for it, and I have to get an inspection for it, and that it has to meet local codes and the ADA codes. That was the case in this other city's dilemma. I'm asking, is that the same case for us here in Dayton?
ADA
It's a national thing.
applies.
I know ADA is national, I'm saying as far as needing a permit.
Well,
Because I think that's really what happened that caused the confusion.
That if you're renting, it's a commercial business, so it's a commercial entity, so it will.
Does it fall on the landlord, or does it fall on the tenant?
It falls on the landlord.
And at what rate would we approve or deny that permit?
Well, so let's just use an example. So any of the older buildings that maybe aren't ADA compliant now, if they were to go implement something like that, they would need to meet those standards. The county would handle that portion of the permitting process and making sure that what they're putting in place meets the current ADA standard.
And so a permit would be required?
Yes.
Understood. That was my, I guess, my basic question, is a permit required for that?
Yeah, and they have to submit the plan indicating how high it is and how long the ramp is, and the building official or the building inspector would just look at it and say either it meets or it doesn't. And then once it's built, he looks at it and says it's either built as per the plan or not.
Okay.
And it's pretty tough, especially with the limited lot size in the city. It'd be very hard to build an ADA compliant ramp that addresses more than maybe one or two steps.
Understood. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions for Rich?
Thank you.
Okay. You do? No. Okay, thank you, Rich. Chief Autry's off today. He has a day. He'll be out for a week. So everybody has a report from the fire department. We've got any correspondence, Donna?
Oh, no, sir.
Standing committee reports, finance, member Lynn.
Well, we'll be having a meeting to go over the rental. Michael will set that up for us. And then also, I guess we'll probably sometime in March get together for the actual budget itself.
Yeah, and maybe we can just do, at the next meeting, we'll just kind of do a lead into both. We can talk about, obviously, they go hand in hand, so we can maybe even start to broach next fiscal year's budget.
Okay.
That it?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Public safety, member Gifford.
We've installed the stop sign, obviously, haven't had any feedback from it on Vine Street. And I'll be getting together with the guys to look at this turnaround situation. That's all I have.
Thank you. Public Works member Burns.
No report, sir.
All right, thank you. Clerk and real estate member Pepper.
The park board had a meeting last night. The biggest thing that they're working on is they're still accepting bids for basic repair of concrete work in the park, men's and women's bathroom renovations, and dugouts for the fields that are down there. They're accepting bids until, looks like February 12th. Where was this ad ran, Donna?
It was ran in the Campbell County Reporter.
So you can get more information in the Campbell County Reporter if you know anybody who's interested in accepting a bid, because right now they're not getting any bids in there. They're trying to look for as many as they can.
A gentleman came in today.
Got 2 today.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's good.
The only other thing, last night at the meeting, they approved some purchases for some different maintenance items to help take care of the ball fields this year and try to get them ready for baseball season for youth and high school. So,
In cooperation with the school, right?
yes, they've been in contact with Mr. Kamen, who's the facilities manager. They're going to try to work together, getting them ready for really March is when we got to get going.
Thank you.
Yep.
Personnel law and printing, member Neary.
Mr. Edge, I think gave everybody, right?
I gave everybody in the committee.
Everybody on our committee, could you send it to the rest of the council too for consideration? A draft of a revised nuisance ordinance. I'd like to review that with the committee sometime this month, whether as a meeting or over the phone. Not had the chance to review what he's changed on this, but I really think we need this nuisance ordinance, and I think you've seen instances like this where it definitely will give us a lot more clout. Also, we're still working on revising the zoning ordinances per the suggestions of the county planning and zoning.
Okay. You want to have this ordinance ready, the nuisance ordinance ready for the next council meeting?
I would like to, yes, sir, at least for the first reading.
Okay.
And I presume it would need a first and second
Yes,
reading, correct? The only other thing I had actually would be on a different topic, so it wouldn't be personnel law. Maybe it would be. Asking the status of the Main Street manager position opening.
We're still working on the wording to what we want to do with that job, the wording of the ad.
Are we going to have an idea on how long it's, I mean, we've been working on wording for about a month now, just to make sure it's.
I think we're not gonna get an ad out, we'll not publish in next week's recorder. My hope would be the following week.
I'd like to request that we move beyond the recorder for some of our publications for requesting for such an important position, and maybe the Inquirer, Monsters.com. I mean,
Well,
there's
we've always
probably-
done monsters, we'll do anything that'll get the word out. I'm just saying the official, the one that we're obliged to put in the recorder will not go in next week. It'll most likely go in the week after that. But we can put it whenever publication that'll reach the markets, put it on Facebook, we'll mention it on the blogs and everything else that helps get the word out. But as far as the one we're obliged to do, that will go out in a couple of weeks.
I'll make sure we get a good catalog of candidates for such an important job.
I've had a lot of calls already and some emails, so, and we had great applicants last time, I'm sure we'll get some very good ones again.
All right.
Gary?
I would like to make a recommendation that we have another meeting to discuss the purpose and the other things involved in this, in hiring this gentleman.
Or lady.
Please.
Or lady.
Or lady, excuse me. But I think it's important enough that we all do that and sit down and talk about it, because we have an industrial park. We have a lot of things that, with the code violations and everything, I think we all need to be on the same page.
With personnel law and printing, you're saying?
No, as a council.
Okay, okay.
That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, so
It could be in a month or two
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well,
you
no,
guys
so
think.
I've got on paper some of the changes that we've made, and it's going to be a little bit broader in a sense.
That's what I'm asking.
And I've been putting pen to paper, and as soon as I get that finalized, it'll be sometime early next week. I'll make sure I'll shoot it out to the entire city council,
Okay.
so you all can see. And I think everybody will agree with, I think, the direction we're going to take it. And I say direction like it's a major change, and at the end of the day, it's just a few things I think that would benefit the community
Right.
more efficiently. So, but as soon as I get
Okay.
that, I was happy with some of that.
I think it'd be prudent for us to look to expand that person's reach as far as their job role. But I don't think it would be prudent at this juncture to remove anything that would put at risk any type of Main Street grants that we'll be getting from the Commonwealth.
I would agree.
Good.
Sir, as much as I want to get this right, because you're kind of redefining the position here, I got a sense of urgency on this. I mean, it's been a month since we knew Anthony was leaving. We've got Beyond the Curb coming up in about 10 weeks, which can be a great function for our city. Even if you were to decide on it right now, what the job description is, it's not going to get published till next week. And then you're talking 2 or 3 weeks to accept resumes, and then another 2 or 3 weeks to get interviews, and then that person's probably going to have to give 2 weeks' notice.
Yeah,
I just have a sense of urgency on it, so it's a little bit frustrating.
That's true, but the way it was, this job was set up originally, this job was 50% or 20 hours of Main Street and 20 hours of Blight, is the way it was set up originally. The reason it was set up that way is because of the funding. You had to be a Main Street, what was it, gold, silver?
Accredited.
Gold status to be Main Street.
Right.
So what they did was they made Main Street that job, but they knew they were going to fund it for 20 hours, and they were going to put 20 hours in. So when Michael came on board, he more or less became the assistant to Dennis.
Right.
And that sort of fell to the wayside, that part of it. So we're just trying to get that Blight part out of there and get something in there that will benefit the city of Dayton and selling the city more than doing Blight. Because we think Rich can do a fine job without having somebody doing that part-time. So we want to define what exactly we want that person to be, so when they come in, they don't know. Anthony got hired Main Street figuring that was a Main Street job, and then when the Blight was thrown on him, he was like, it was like, I didn't know this was part of the job.
Right. I agree with Mr. Neary's that this is kind of a sense of urgency, and how long is it going to, that was kind of my original comment, is how long is it going to take to find the...
Until you find the right person.
Yeah, but here...
Well, it's not to find the right person, it's find the right... Find the right person, you got to find the right description to
You
find
have
the
to
right
get
person.
applications, and you have to find the right
But the
person.
thing with this is, I think you're selling Michael short, because I think Michael could do the job, and he's been doing the job since Anthony walked out the door, and he's talking to people and stuff like that, so I think by saying it's urgent, we want to get the job filled, and he would love to get the job filled, but we want to get it right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, nobody wants to fill a job quicker than I do, but this whole redefining thing has taken time for me to talk to. I've talked to a lot of you about it, and I've talked to a lot of people that have expertise in the area outside of Main Street and in economic development. And while I would fill somebody tomorrow if I could, making sure that we're able to define and sit down with a qualified candidate and explain to them exactly what we expect is very important. And if we don't have that organized internally, then we're going to make ourselves look bad, and we're going to get somebody that may take the job that wasn't really fully realizing what the job is into. So I agree. I think we all would want somebody in there tomorrow. The good thing is I've done the job before. I'm happy to attend a Board of Architectural review meeting next week, like old times. So I know the process. We can wing it for a little while until we get somebody in there. But to be able to define fully what that person is going to be expected to do, I think is really important. And you can't just. It takes a little time to put that in writing. So.
I just wanted to express the urgency not only of myself and other council members, but some business owners that are looking at the city, et cetera. Not that you're doing a bad job at it, it's just where it's a lot of risk to have one person with that much responsibility when we have the position open.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Economic Development, Member Baker.
I met with the Catalytic Fund on, is that thunder?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're hoping.
Here comes the lightning, brother. I've been waiting.
Move away from Ben.
I had a great meeting with the Catalytic Fund this week on Beyond the Curb. Beyond the Curb is a program that goes beyond the curb of many cities in northern Kentucky just to show what living in those cities is like, whether it's new development or if it's the homes that we've had for 100 years in the city of Dayton. So starting to put some houses together, and nothing's concrete yet. It's just all speculation right now. But the date is concrete, and that is for April 24th. So April 24th, mark your calendars, and we will like to have as many volunteers as possible to smile and welcome people to our neighborhood, and maybe have a new neighbor or just reconnect with an old one.
Is that set, Ben?
That is a set date, Michael. April 24th, we'll have between 14 and 12 houses, be 6 or 7 depending on the makeup of in Dayton and the other in Belleville. And we're looking at registration in Dayton, which I think is pretty great that we'd be the first stop. So I think we'd get more people. That's all I got, boss.
All right, thank you. Any petitions, council?
I got a couple things I'd like to bring up.
Okay, petitions, or you want old business, new business? Or
Well, the one is kind of old business, but I think it needs to be new business.
Okay, well, let's do old business and then we'll go to new business.
All right, good old business.
Okay, unfinished business? Any new business?
I got a couple
There you
things. We approved in our budget a new camera for posting of meetings online. I've received a lot of inquiries of people asking, are these on cable, are they on YouTube, where are they at? I was wondering if we have any idea where that purchase of camera and getting those videos up, because we're dealing with ancient equipment in terms of technology.
Yep. So we do have room in the budget for a camera. We had gotten to this point before where we were kind of shopping around and figuring out what we needed. Currently, we're putting everything up on, or as it goes on the news station for the channel.
Okay.
We've tried the YouTube route before with some of your assistance. The bandwidth that we have has made it impossible to do in-house. So that's the reason that they're not showing up online, is we literally can't do them in the city building. But very few people that have been able to do it. I know you were helping us for a little while to do that. Now,
if we
getting a new camera is one thing, but operating it and making it work efficiently in this environment. I've talked to a few people about the sound logistics, and I've talked to a few people about getting a camera, but I'm kind of clueless when it comes to the category of cameras, and everybody's got an opinion on what would help in the meetings, echo, make things clear for audience members to hear, but that we run into issues with recording. So I'm open to suggestions. We do have the money for it. Whether it's leaning on your expertise or someone else's.
I'm happy to leave my expertise. I just need to make something happen, and I'm sure everyone's got opinions, but being in government, I'm sure everyone has their opinions on a lot of things. So, but this is being a disservice to a lot of our residents who are unable to make it here.
Is it because it's not online, or it's
both online or via the television? I think online would be the easiest, most cost-effective way immediately.
Sure. What? See, I haven't heard any issues with what's on the television. Are there?
I haven't heard any concerns about television.
They can't hear. That's the big complaint. We're talking about putting a couple speakers in here.
Right.
But what about the cable company out there in Highland Heights out there that do all the, like for our Northern Kentucky Music Legends, they come and film it and do everything. Is there a cost to it through them?
Well, we were on the cable board originally.
Right,
No,
we're not
we're
now.
So
What's
I think it was a cost prohibitive.
They were holding on to it.
They had to actually pay a certain amount of money to
I think it was $10,000 a year we paid them.
okay? So look at the cost. I'm just asking and see if anything has changed. If we haven't contacted them, there might be a possibility there's been a change. I don't know. I'm just asking that.
People are always
They do
asking
all our
what's going on.
stuff for free.
Well, why don't you look into it seriously and come back next month with a little report, cost, with how they handle it, and that whole deal.
I mean, I'm happy to do that, but we're also gonna need a camera. This camera is putting on tape.
Right, but I'm saying good cost and camera, the whole deal, and lay it out for us.
Okay,
That would be,
all right,
Okay?
cool.
Thank you. And what else you got? You said you
Let's see what else you got. Got a list here, bud.
Okay.
Did that one. Got that one done. Traffic backing up of lights with KDOT. It's gotten a lot better. Do they have any response on what happened there?
from what I heard, they thought it was, it got better for a while and got worse. I think there was just a glitch in the sensors. I know a couple council members mentioned that they were down there working on it a few weeks ago. You know,
I heard
if it's
through
working
another
better,
city that it was something to do with batteries or it's one of the devices.
Yeah, I think it might have even been one of the walk buttons was stuck.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, something as simple as that can mess everything up. But
I mean, we all, I think everybody in this room sat in that traffic.
yeah, it was bad for about 2.5, 3 weeks in January. I mean, it was great right before Christmas after they made the changes. I sit in it every day, 5 days a week. But this past week and a half, 2 weeks since it was brought to their attention and they did take action on it, it seems to be, you know, not great, but it's not Fields Erdel exit either.
I mean, I've had people complain to me, I'm sure everyone in this council and probably everyone else has heard complaints about that, so good work getting it done. I just want to make sure if we had a root cause analysis.
yeah, just, you know, typical responses, system error.
Last thing on my list here is website updates.
Yes.
The website seems to be very behind.
Yes, so I'm working with the website developer right now. There's a couple features that we wanted to add this year that I think are going to help. One, it'll help maybe the first topic you brought up, not necessarily the meetings, but a streamlined process that myself and a new Main Street manager or anybody else in office can get quick blurbs out, almost like mini articles, updating on agendas and meeting minutes, tax rates, you know, anything that's pertinent to the public, we can get a quick blurb up, link it to our social media accounts so that these pertinent information bits are getting out to more and more people. So a couple design things we're going to change. Now, as far as the updating goes, again, there's some technical issues that we have internally with I don't know if it's broadband, but it takes me I mean, when I go in to make a change, it literally takes forever to do just the simplest of changes. So
This seems to be the second complaint that you've had about broadband in your office in the last 5 minutes. It's affecting communication between the city.
you know,
What, are you on like dial-up or?
yeah. So anytime we pick up the phone, you know, it kind of cuts it on.
Yeah?
I'm just kidding.
AOL.com.
You know, I mean, we have Cincinnati Bell and Zoomtown, just like, you know, a lot of other people, they offer usually, from what I've experienced, the better rates and the higher bandwidth. We just always have this problem. The YouTube videos take days to upload. The website, I don't know if it's an internet problem, if it's a computer problem, if it's a WordPress problem, but I know for me, going into WordPress and updating the website has been a challenge. It's something that I've been talking with USDP about, but you know, I don't think they think it's their fault or WordPress's fault.
Okay.
Either. So it's one of the issues we're trying to work through.
Oh, I mean,
Right now, I'm the one updating the website, but it's very task consuming because it takes so long to just do the minorest of changes.
would it make sense for us to bring in maybe a consultant or somebody who's trying to sell you something?
I've already talked to some
Like
people.
if Time Warner Cable or
Yeah, I've already-
Windstream or any of these
I-
telecom providers
No,
wanted to
I
say,
had, yeah.
we can do a speed test and show that you can get better speed, but I mean, if we're not getting two very important things of communication out to our citizens, it's worth some investigation to make sure that this is being taken care of.
Yeah, we've had I've had 2 meetings in the last week with companies that are looking into the matter.
Okay?
Yeah.
So when I follow up next month on my list,
We'll
it's,
have something, yeah.
Yeah, he's been working on it.
Awesome.
I've emailed about it.
I just hadn't seen anything about it, I've heard complaints, so I complain when I hear complaints.
Noted, but yeah, we know it's an issue.
Cool. That's all I got.
What you got? We have no executive session.
Actually, I have two new.
Okay, go ahead.
I had asked the question before, and I think it's pretty pertinent with what's going on down in Frankfurt right now with the budget. The pension liability for the city. I had asked what the total was, should the state throw it all back on the cities, which could happen. What is our total pension liability? And I thought that was going to be included in the audit that was done.
Yeah, they haven't finished the audit yet.
Will it be included in the audit results?
From what I understand, it will be included in the audit, yes.
Okay, good.
Do we know when that audit will be complete?
It's all contingent on the fire department right now. They've got some things that our auditors are waiting on from the fire department end, so.
Okay. The second thing I have is, I had asked previously, earlier this month, on a YMCA donation. It's my understanding that in the past, the city has, I know the city built the building, but that the city has contributed to the YMCA annually, but it has not in the past year. I don't see a line item in the budget for it, nor do I see anything coming out of economic development. Do you know what that contribution was and what the line item was or where it came from?
It did come out of economic development, and we did it twice in 2013 and 2014. That was it.
Do you know why it was discontinued?
Well, yeah, when we were talking about the budget last year, when we were talking about the funding for CCAP program, a large chunk of investment going into that program was, I think, the main driver behind cutting back some of the costs. We eliminated a lot of rental income over the last year, so we knew that was coming away. So, to be honest, it was more of we knew there was some longer-term expenses coming out of CCAP, and I think that was the main driver. Chime in if I'm incorrect.
No, you're right.
But I think that was fine.
But with the Economic Development Fund, not only do we have from the initial payment on the sale of the marina, we also have more funds coming in down the road, correct? From the sale of the marina.
Yeah, we still have $400,000 left to collect this summer and in 2017, but that's it.
And with the CCAP, we've only spent, well, we don't have a report because we don't have a Main Street manager, but I think we've only...
Very little at this point, but I think if it were to stop today, the long-term commitment is around $25,000 to $30,000, if I'm not mistaken. But there are also several applications pending right now and being submitted, so
Understood.
That number will go up. But if it were to stop today, that's what's committed.
I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but I feel personally that the YMCA has done so much for the city, for the kids of the city. They've cooperated with the school district tremendously. For a $10,000 commitment from the city, I know it's $10,000, but I think that, you talk about ROI, return on investment. I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but I'd like to reinitiate that $10,000 per year contribution from the city, as long as there are no legal ramifications in giving it to a YMCA. And I don't know, I think Attorney Fisher probably would have addressed that in the past anyway. I don't know, how does everybody else feel about the $10,000 donation?
One question I have is, how did that originally come about?
She came and asked for it, and then we gave it to her 2 years in a row because she was asked for it, and that was it. That's why it was done.
She said decreased funds from everybody else.
So
the YMCA's have decreased funding everywhere else, so.
Was it something that, when it was asked for to continue, or just a one-time thing and then she came back, or how did that, we did it 2 years obviously, so.
Yeah. It was asked for, I know that part of it.
Both times? Okay.
Well, she has asked me.
She's asked.
Justine Ryan has reached out to me on it to find out what all happened, and I guess there's our answer. Do we need a motion? Would a motion?
You'd have to put it back in the budget, and the budget for next year if you're going to budget it.
Does economic development expenses require a budget approval? The budget
No,
does.
but you don't have a line item for it, that's what I'm saying.
Out of economic development fund.
Well, you can take it out of economic development, but
It's
I
in
don't
the
think-
budget ordinance. Economic Development Fund is in the budget ordinance, yes.
I'm for that. I'd like to make sure that the finance committee comes back next month and gives them a chance to make sure that it's okay.
Right, I understand. I just want to get the wheels in motion here and find out how we can do this and how the rest of the
Danny, you've
council feels
got some
about it.
questions already coming up at the finance committee for the rental rates. Would you mind during that meeting to see if $10,000 is available from any other funds? Thank you, sir.
That's all I have, sir.
Anyone else have anything?
I just want to make one comment on that, and I appreciate you, Justine, coming to you, and I think Jerry said that, but, and I'm not against the fund or not giving the fund or not, but it seems to me if the YMCA needed funding, then she would come and make a presentation. Instead of just going to you and or me or just one or two people from on council, I think that the YMCA should come and make a presentation so we can get our ducks in a row too.
She was a little uncomfortable is what the problem is.
Understood, but I have asked.
And that's why she doesn't know. She said, I'm gonna get cut out of the budget, and that was her
But
comment.
she came before and asked, that's the only thing I'm saying. She came before, and I think she made a presentation that she.
Well, I think we just asked for an extra month to consider this, so why don't, why don't we ask, Ms. Ryan to come in and give a presentation?
Sure she will.
Just show us the benefits. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, Bill.
Anyone else have to, before we move on? Okay, like I said, there's no executive session, so I need a motion for adjournment.
So make that motion.
Motion by Gary, seconded by...
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So ordered.